2023 was a big year for Blake Snell. It had to be. With just one season left before hitting free agency for the first time in his life, it was now up to him to decide his financial future. He could either crap the bed and not get much attention in free agency, or he could do the exact opposite, which is what ended up happening. In 2023, Blake Snell pitched his way to the best ERA in all of baseball at 2.25. He struck out over 230 hitters, won the National League Cy Young Award, and got MVP votes. He was really good, obviously, and at the perfect time. 2021 and 2022 weren't the kind of seasons that would give anybody faith in Snell to give him that much money. Not that he was bad, he had a pretty good season in 2021 and a better one in 2022, but his innings were low, really low. So for him to throw 180 innings last year was big. And then again, he had the lowest ERA in the game with good strikeout numbers. So when he needed to most for the best financial gain possible, Snell did it. He was great. Yet he has since gone on to be one of the least sought after Cy Young Award winners maybe in history. Probably ever. Despite just winning the award and winning it twice now, once in each league, Snell doesn't have a very good market. Not nearly one you'd automatically assume for what is supposed to be the best pitcher in baseball last season. And as crazy as it sounds on the surface and maybe feels, it actually makes sense, a ton of sense. So welcome back to the channel, or welcome if it's your first time. Over 78% of my watch time is from people who aren't subscribed. So if you enjoy the video, hit that button along with the bell for post notifications. I'll really appreciate it. Although appreciation is something no MLB team seems to have for the season Blake Snell just had. Typically when a player wins a Cy Young Award in his last year before free agency, not that there are many of those in history, but of the ones that have done that, they get a contract usually pretty quickly, and it's always a nice fat one at least. In 2020, Trevor Bauer pitched a tremendous season. Now, is it as legit as every other Cy Young winner? Obviously not, and he also used the sticky substances to his advantage. But in the limited innings he pitched, 73, he had a 1.73 ERA, the best in the National League, struck out 100 hitters, barely allowed any runners on per inning. I mean, he was fantastic, and he was rewarded for it. Not getting a big contract in terms of the years, but in terms of the money, it was big. In fact, historic, with him getting $102 million over 3 seasons from the Dodgers before the 2021 season. The highest annual salary of all time for any player. During the 2021 season, left-handed pitcher Robbie Ray on the Blue Jays was fantastic, pitching to the lowest ERA in the American League at 2.84 and the most innings in the American League at over 193, while making the most starts in the American League at 32, while also striking out the most hitters in all of baseball with 248 of them. Tremendous stuff, and because of this, the Mariners gave him $115 million over the span of 5 years. Justin Verlander then won the Cy Young Award in 2022, his first year back from Tommy John surgery at 39 years old. At 39 years old, Verlander was out there dominating baseball, seemingly as easy as ever in his career, pitching to a 1.75 ERA in 175 innings. Winning 18 games, he allowed the lowest runners on per inning in baseball, just insane stuff, and as a result, Steve Cohen opened up his checkbook to the man going into his age 40 season, giving him a 2-year contract worth $86.6 million, so $43.3 million a year. Now, I didn't even realize this when I started writing this video, but there's something in common with every Cy Young Award winner to hit free agency, at least the 3 I just mentioned, the most recent 3 before Snell, and it's not a good common. None of these signings worked out, at least not with the team who gave them their respective contract. About 5 months after signing his historic deal with the Dodgers, Trevor Bauer was accused of a crime and hasn't thrown a big league pitch since. The details on all that are a whole other thing, but the bottom line is Bauer only actually ended up playing 3 months of that contract before eventually getting released by the team and going to play in Japan for 2023, which was the final year of the contract. It started off rough, but Robbie Ray did end up having a good season for the Mariners in his first year there in 2022, but things weren't quite the same. He wasn't quite as good as he was in 21, and he gave up that moon bomb to Yordan Alvarez to lose the game in the playoffs in a series the Mariners would get swept in. And after just one start in 2023, a poor start, Ray has yet to pitch. A month after that start, he'd get surgery to repair a torn flexor tendon, which was later revealed to be Tommy John surgery. So that was the last we've ever seen of Ray, and likely the last we'll ever see of him in a Mariners uniform, with a big trade recently taking place between them and the Giants, sending Ray to San Francisco in exchange for Mitch Haniger and Anthony DeSclafani. Justin Verlander wasn't bad with the Mets in 2023, in fact he was pretty good, but the team wasn't good, and Verlander alone was was not going to save them. So just several months after leaving Houston for New York, he was traded right back to the Astros. So look at that. Each Cy Young winner signing with a new team hasn't been worth it and has kind of backfired for each of those teams. For the Dodgers, the Mariners, and the Mets. Is there something to that might be straying teams away from Snell now? I don't know. Honestly, not sure how big the correlation is. But in terms of Blake Snell alone and his specific situation, his market has not been so easy. The starting pitcher who got the most attention this offseason, and by a long shot, nobody was close to the media, fan, and team attention he got, was a man who hasn't ever even pitched in the big leagues before. Yoshinobu Yamamoto, the man who's now also $325 million guaranteed dollars richer because of the expectations he has. He's also just 25 years old compared to Snell, who is 31, which is another factor. Signing anyone over the age of 30 is always a more risky thing to do, let alone a pitcher. Can his arm stay durable and reliable? Well, nobody knows the answer to that question for anybody. It's all just a guessing game that we all find out the answer to together when it actually happens. But in terms of Blake Snell, the lack of interest he's getting despite being a two-time Cy Young Award winner actually makes all the sense in the world for multiple reasons. Snell has never been a pitcher who goes deep into games, ever. Not when he's been at his best and not when he's struggled. That's not just a 2023 thing. Both of his Cy Young seasons, 2018 and 2023, both featured Snell throwing 180 innings. Beside that, the next highest number of innings for a season is in the 120s. He doesn't give you as much as you'd hope overall, typically, and that's because he just doesn't go deep into those games. He rarely pitches past the 6th inning. This past season, he pitched 7 innings in a start just one time. He has incredibly nasty stuff, a good deceptive delivery, his fastball's great, curveball's filthy, but his pitch count gets up there, and it gets up there fast. He doesn't have the best control, and despite 2023 being arguably his best season ever, his control was at its worst, with Snell walking 99 hitters last year, the most in all of baseball. He rarely goes out there and gets crushed, at least not in his best years, but the problem is the walks, and even if he doesn't walk the hitter, even if he strikes the guy out, he's still driving up the pitch count because it takes so many pitches just to get the one hitter out, so many full counts. All of that matters, and Snell to me seems too hit or miss. He has the potential to be so great, but also has the same amount of potential to not have a good season. It's too 50-50, and teams clearly see that. He's just not reliable enough to commit to for 5 or 6 years, and for so much money. I'm not sure if part of it is the fact that teams are only getting smarter, because maybe if this were 5 to 10 years ago, Snell would have been given a boatload of money already for like 7 years. But at the same time, this stuff all seems pretty obvious. Snell has some of the nastiest stuff in the game, there's no denying that. But I think the ideal contract for any team if they brought on Snell would be a short-term one, maybe 3 years. That's likely not going to happen, someone will give in probably, but that seems most logical for Snell and the type of player that he is. The lack of ability to go into games, the walks, none of that seems like a good long-term investment. And then you have the other stuff, but the stuff that isn't just exclusive to him. Like the fact that he's 31, and who's to say that he won't have to get Tommy John at some point? Did anyone think Robbie Ray was getting it? No, the Mariners wouldn't have given him a contract if they knew there was a good possibility of it happening. Yes, it's a risk you take with every pitcher, but again, add on Snell's specific pitching flaws to the risks that everyone already has, and it's just overall not a very attractive long-term situation bringing in a guy like that. So I don't blame teams for not desperately going after him. Even with him just pitching such a great year at the best time possible right before free agency, it makes sense that his market is slow. It was pretty interesting realizing while making this video how bad each of the last 3 Cy Young signings have gone. Do I think Snell will follow that trend and make whatever team signs him regret it? I don't know. I hope not. I like Snell. I hope he's great, but I don't know. What I do know, along with every team and anyone who looks at the details with Snell's pitching, he's just not a very smart long-term investment based off what we've seen from him in his career. Let me know what you think. Thank you for watching and subscribe if you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you soon.